What is up? What is up, guys? Happy Monday. Today's Labor Day, guys. Obviously, this will be dropping on a Tuesday, and I say that every time. Um, but guys, it's been an interesting few days. We are preparing for Super Seminar, which is a really, really big seminar that OHS puts on in Las Vegas. Um, so it's interesting because when you start taking action and you start moving towards big goals, the things that you have really, I don't know, the things that will separate you from the rest, the things that accelerate the growth of the business and um, things like that. Like it's interesting because it's like a lot of the time people start to weed themselves out, and I'm not saying like there's anyone in particular, but this is just how life goes, guys. It's like whenever you're pushing, like whenever you are trying to grow and change your life, it's like there are always so many people that will, they say you changed, there are so many people that will refuse change. And then when you change and you do what it takes to level up, they'll just fall out of your life. And it's sad. It's an interesting thing, but like I've seen it happen over and over and over in my life because I've gone from, you know, living in a small town, um, you know, being around the stuff that like everyone is, and getting to the point where like I was just sick of it and I was ready to level up and, make life what I wanted out of it. And the interesting thing was like there are so many people that I had to let go, and it sucks, but like you can't sacrifice your life to try and include them, like people who resist change, they only slow you down, like they only hold you back. And as like it feels shallow, like, and maybe that's my problem, but like the reality is like somebody who is truly your friend or truly cares about you is somebody who also cares about your personal growth, your personal development, and like they want to see you win, So it's like they're not going to offer you that food. They're not going to offer you the beer or, the alcohol or the drugs or whatever. Like because they get it. Like they know that you want to be better. So, and it's hard because like misery loves company, and the majority of people will always fall into that like misery loves company um thing where it's like they can't get out of, like they hate themselves and they can't get out of it, so they want to pull you down with them. And that's a it's a tough thing, man. um and I don't know how I got to that, but my point being, it's just like you start to see these people that self-sabotage, and they hold on to what they know rather than what they could be. And it's sad because that's such like there are a lot of limiting beliefs that contribute to that, and I mean I'll say I have been um guilty of that in the past, but like the crazy part is the longer that I've lived and the more that I've gone into the unknown and the more that I have tested myself and put myself in those situations where I have to level up, the easier it is to let go of the things that were holding me back. And that's one of the big things. Like, I'm reading this new book called Ego is the Enemy. And it's just, that's it. Like, it's ego, guys. Like, your ego is what holds you back. So, with that being said, that's always like the first thing. As soon as I start to see success and as soon as I start to make moves, it's like, I always try to ask myself, we're going to move this so it's like not right in front of my face. But I always try to ask myself, like, okay, what is it that's holding me back? Like, what is it that, and what is it that is going to take me to the next level? right? And a lot of the time, the answer is like you have to abandon what got you from A to B, because what got you from A to B is not going to get you from B to C. It's just, you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. And I feel like we've talked about this exact topic before, but it is what it is. But it's just simply like you always have to reassess. And and another thing is passion. Passion is interesting because it's like, it's either you're feeding it and you're fueling it, or it's dying. And for the majority of people, it's dying. The majority of people are compromised, like in their work, in their relationships. Like the majority of people don't know how to hold on to their dreams, and they're willing to compromise to make a quick check, and like the crazy part about that is like passion is sacrificing for what you love, right? And yes, it's a sacrifice. Entrepreneurship is a sacrifice. Like you sacrifice a lot to get to where you want to go, but at the same time, on the flip side, you're free. Like, you know what I mean? So like what amount of freedom, like that's worth it to me, having ultimate freedom and having to work a little bit harder on the weekends or whatever, like for the majority of the year, simply because then I have freedom to do what I want with my time. And yeah, it's just, you have to lead with passion, and you have to allow yourself to indulge in your passions and fuel your passions. And you know but most people don't get that, and it's tough. I feel like that's a very tough thing for people to wrap their heads around. It's like, we always talk about how noble it is to sacrifice our lives for the people around us, but the thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately is it like, is it noble to sacrifice the life you want to live for your spouse, your kids? I think it's I think the next step is living for them, right? Like, yes, it is quote unquote noble to um, die for your family and your kids, but I would say it's even more noble to live for them. And that's what most people don't get, is like, you have to go into your passion with them in mind. And if you can go into your passion with your future wife, your future kids, or whatever, your wife, your kids, and just realize that they depend on you to be able to, or they depend on you to be passionate and like bring your dreams into fruition, then you're going to beat everybody else in the market, and like, but that's just what people don't get, is that it's always this, I'm going to sacrifice myself for you. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I almost feel like I was raised with that mindset. My dad did a really, really great job of it, and like props to him. But at the same time, like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know if that's the best scenario to be raised in, like knowing that your parents are unhappy because they had to sacrifice for you. You know what I mean? So with that being said, it's like, why wouldn't you, like, the best case scenario is living for them, and knowing that your parents are happy and your parents are living their best life, and you are an expansion of that rather than a product of their sacrifice. So, and passion carries over to every aspect of your life. Like, that's one thing. If you read The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, that was one of the really big takeaways that I had from it, is like, every single thing, and I always boil it down to family, fitness, finance, and faith. Those are my four categories that come from that. But and it normally will start with finance, right? What you do to make money, right? And that's, you have to be chasing passion there, right? And the crazy part is, once you learn to pursue that passion, fuel it, and grow it, same thing with your relationship, right? If you're married, You can't just be married and then, oh, it's a sacrifice, so I'm committed to you and we're stuck. No, it has to be like, I'm going to approach this every day as if it was a gift, right? And it's passion, love, kind of the same thing, but and then it's like, well, I'm going to show up and I'm going to focus on growing this rather than maintaining it. And most people just try to maintain. But if you can focus on growing it every single day and going one step farther and like truly allowing yourself to learn and grow through that, and that's where like I still read plenty of love books. Like I still read the books on how to get the girls and how to be a superior man. That's literally one of them where it's like you have to continuously refine your skill set as a man, and if anything it probably gets harder as you're married, like it's not picking up a girl anymore. It's literally like they learn your tricks, so you got to learn new tricks. And yeah, yeah, but my point being, like, it's everything, guys. Passion is everything, and if you don't learn to grow your passion, it will die, and then you're living like. And on the flip side, if your passion dies, like, everybody around you knows that you're living a passionless existence. You don't think that the people at your job know that you hate your job. You don't think that your wife feels obligated to, or feels that you feel obligated to be there. Kids, same thing. Like, it's literally all the same, and you can't live a life out of obligation. It has to be passion. Otherwise, that obligation will be gone. Like, trust me, I've been married and divorced, and I've been through a lot. So that being said, once it starts feeling like an obligation, they feel that. So I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if you truly want success in this life, um, it needs to be more about your passion, right? And the impact that you want to make on the world, because you can't just chase money. You can't just get married and, walk off into the sunset and happily ever after. Like, you have to approach every single day with a burning desire to get better and better at every single thing you do. And if you aren't able to do that, then it collapses. And I've seen it collapse over and over in my life. And so maybe take this as a warning. I don't know. Like, maybe just take a second, sit back and be like, okay, where are the areas of my life that I'm showing up just due to obligation, right? And could be work, could be your relationship, your relationship with your kids, whatever. Church is a great one. There are tons and tons of people just showing up to church out of obligation. But just take a second and sit back and be like, okay, well, am I showing up out of obligation, or is this because I truly choose this? Because it could all be gone tomorrow. Like, your wife could leave you, your kids could, something could happen to your kids. Like, your church, like, you don't have to go to church. Nobody has to go to church. Um, you could be fired. Like, literally everything that you think that you are and you feel obligated to be could be ripped away from you. And I promise, that has happened to me over and over and over, to the point where, like, it's, I don't know, it's so hard to overcome. But on the flip side, it's helped me develop an appreciation for everything that I have, like my company, my wife, like everything that we have now. I get in my car every day and I literally sit there and I'm like, this car could be gone tomorrow. Like, I could total this car, I could sell it, like, whatever, like, it could be gone tomorrow. And it's the same thing with your wife. Like, I, yeah, like, there have been plenty times in my life where I've, like, just sat there and, I don't know, you lose people, and it's not that it's a bad thing, because everything works in your favor long term, but, like, people leave your life as well. So just remember, like, they're not always going to be there. And that sense of impermanence makes it so much easier to fully appreciate people and give them the love and respect that they need, because they could be gone, and like, so my point being that it's just, if you truly don't want to take things for granted and you don't want to show up out of obligation, and you truly want people to know how much you care, show up and be passionate. And it has to be every area of your life, because it will bleed into, like, whatever decision you make bleeds into all the other areas. Like, if you allow your passion to die in your career, it will die in your relationship. If you allow your passion to your or if you allow yourself to indulge in your passion in your career, then you'll come back and you'll be way more passionate in your relationship as well. Like, they all feed off of each other, and that's the root cause of, like, the majority of the things that are going on. Like, that's the root cause of most issues. But anyways, guys, that's kind of the thought of the week. And it's been a big realization for me as well. But that's just how I try to live my life. Like, I try to remember that every single person is going to be gone at some point in my life. Like, the car, the house, like, all the stuff, my job, my clients, like, it may not always be around. So I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my best to treat all of those things as good as I can. And I think that's what allows people to get more, is like that sense of gratitude, right? Like, they always talk about in success, like you have, like, gratitude's one of the main things that breeds success, and that's simply because you appreciate what you have. There are a whole lot of people that succeed and they can't fully appreciate it, and then they lose it all, so um yeah, it's just passion, gratitude. Like, you just have to always come back to that. So think about that, guys. Happy Labor Day. I guess you've watched this after Labor Day, but guys, just take a second and think about that this week. Just remember that you don't have to do anything. You get to do it. So show up the best you possibly can to each and every relationship, or to your relationships, your work, all the things. Like, just show up and be the best that you possibly can, because it is a very, very impermanent situation. So I will catch you guys later.